So I just finished Digimon Time Stranger and I feel fed. Wow, what a pleasant surprise. I knew I was going to love this game, but I'm genuinely happy with how it turned out and all of the improvements this dev team has made since Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. Time Stranger might just be the best Digimon game ever made. I have played pretty much all of the recent Digimon games that have come out, and Time Stranger feels like the most complete package. Over 400 Digimon, rideable Digimon, great team expression, amazing level progression, and an overall pretty impressive story that I did not expect to hit as hard as it did. But it's not perfect. There are some issues with the game that do hold it back from being a contender for Game of the Year or something. Some minor issues, some bigger, but trust me, a lot of positives. Which is a good thing because hopefully Bandai sees the great feedback and sales for this game and gives this team the opportunity to come back and make an even better one. And that's why I plan to be completely honest in this video, because I do want them to make a better game, because I know they can. They are so close to making one of the best JRPGs out there, something that can rival Persona. So let's dive into my full thoughts on Digimon Time Stranger. Okay, let's start with gameplay. If you have seen my previous Digimon video, I went into detail about the awesome turn-based system that the Digimon story games have been using. It's one of my favorite things about these Digimon games. You get a great battle system that works like your traditional JRPGs with elemental weaknesses, but this game gets to add Digimon attributes. This is Digimon's rock, paper, scissors system that layers on top of the elemental weaknesses that we are used to. They are data, vaccine, and virus Digimon, and each is weak to another type and resists a type. Virus is weak to vaccine, vaccine is weak to data, and data is weak to virus. It's really an awesome system that is unique to Digimon. The best part is that this system also benefits the team building process during the game, which is another huge win in my opinion. Building out your team in Digimon Time Stranger is so fun and such a rewarding experience. There is a huge emphasis on digivolving and de-digivolving your Digimon. It is a bit more simplified this time around compared to previous Digimon story games, but I think that works in its favor. More people will likely be playing this game, and it's not simplified to the point where it loses all functionality. You still have to put some effort in if you are chasing specific Digimon, especially if you want those special fusion Digimon. There is a lot going on when it comes to the Digimon and digivolving them. Each Digimon has 5 separate stats and a personality, and each of these dictates what your Digimon will digivolve into. It's really fun figuring out how to get your dream team. Personally, I tend to go for the Digimon from the shows that I used to watch when I was a kid, but there are so many of them that you're gonna see Digimon that you've never seen before, you've never heard before, and it's really cool. There are so many different branching evolutions that sometimes you genuinely will have no idea what you're going to end up with. So all this does tie back into the gameplay loop, since you're really going to be either battling or digivolving. So get used to this screen because you're going to be seeing it a lot. When you compare Digimon to a game like Pokemon or Persona, those games usually give you a cap of how many members you can have in your party, but not in Digimon Time Stranger. From what I can see, you can have pretty much an unlimited amount of Digimon with you as you progress the story, and you can take up to 6 with you into battle. This game utilizes experience share better than Pokemon ever has or ever will. All Digimon with you in your box and in your farm, which we will talk about in a second, receive experience after each battle. This is one of the most amazing quality of life changes that makes this game feel so fun and replayable, because levels do matter, but not as much as you would think. What this experience share is really great for is leveling up your Digimon in your box so they can digivolve. You don't have to spend your time using weaker Digimon during your playthrough. Instead, they gain XP in your box and do so until they are ready to digivolve and are in the same level as the Digimon in your main party. Again, I can't stop gushing about how much I actually love the gameplay loop of this game. This, in my opinion, is what Digimon nails, and it's almost like perfect. Let's take a quick second to talk about the Digifarm. As I mentioned before, your Digimon have 5 separate stats, and they matter a lot when it comes to digivolving. The farm is used when you want to focus on leveling a specific stat on a Digimon, so they can either hit the requirements necessary to digivolve or just hit them quicker than they naturally would leveling up. This is a really cool system that unfortunately can sometimes be a headache for 2 reasons. The first one being the materials needed to increase certain stats is a chore to get. Sometimes you can find those items in the overworld, but they are pretty rare, so use them wisely. Now you can craft them, but it's so annoying to get the actual materials to craft them, to the point where I avoided crafting those items entirely. I only ever used the items that I found, and I still was able to get all the Digimons I wanted, but I do wish that a merchant sold those items, or they were just easier to craft. The second biggest issue is that you can't digivolve your Digimon in the farm. Like, what the hell? We were able to do that in older games. What happened? So when you're increasing your Digimon stats in the farm, unless you remember exactly what number they had to hit to digivolve, you have to take them out of the farm, exit the farm menu, and go to the digivolving menu, check and see if they had hit the required stats, and if they still haven't, you have to go back to the farm, drop them off again, give them the item again, and do that until they hit the stats that you need them to hit. It's just a lot of menu hopping that we could have just gotten rid of if we were just allowed to digivolve in the farm. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the Digimon and digivolving and all that, but let me tell you, this game is challenging in the best way possible. No, it's not Dark Souls, and I would probably say a game like SMT is still more challenging, but this is good. This is a good level playing field. It was just such a pleasant surprise. It's never to the point where things feel unbeatable, but they do have some really fun gimmicks that I personally enjoyed. I'm not really sure how others felt about it. Things like not being able to heal during a fight, or not being able to use items for the duration of a battle. Oh, and another one was when you healed, your Digimon actually lost like a portion of their max HP, so you just kept gaining less and less health back. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it, and again, like I mentioned in my last video, I wish Pokemon would do stuff like this and make their games just a little bit more challenging. So big win for Digimon here. Next, let's talk about the story of Digimon Time Stranger. No major spoilers. Now, at first, I wasn't the biggest fan of Time Stranger's story. It definitely has a slow start, and I hope you like dialogue because there is a lot of it. I actually didn't mind though. It reminds me a lot of older JRPGs where you really got to slow down and live in the world for a little bit. Sometimes the writing's actually pretty good, and sometimes it's just kind of being silly. It's not a negative, it's a part of the charm in my opinion. The other story games had dialogue similar to this, and I really enjoyed those. I was pretty surprised with the direction the story ended up taking. What is strange is that the first half of the game feels very different to the second half of the game, at least story-wise. I definitely prefer the second half. The stakes are higher, and there are a lot of really cool reveals that had been set up from the very beginning of the game. The story did grow on me, but I wouldn't say that it's the game's strong suit. It's there, and it's passable enough to progress the story and keep me interested, but I definitely wouldn't say it's winning any awards for its storytelling or writing. The characters I kind of feel the same way about. Some of them I do really like Agumon and Inori. They are really fleshed out, and by the end of the game, I really did care about them. But many of the other side characters you meet in each world, they kind of just feel one-dimensional. Maybe by design, because a lot of them are Digimon, but I still feel like it's a bit of a letdown. Time Stranger is also a pretty long game. It took me about 60 hours on my first playthrough, and I'm not entirely sure if that's the average, but I know I probably could have extended that playtime if I wasn't fast forwarding the battle animations, or if I spent more time at the farm chasing more Digimon. I definitely didn't see all of the Digimon in the roster, but if you are a completionist, trust me, you have well over 100 hours of gameplay here. Another positive for this game is that it's the first fully English voice acted story game that we have gotten. All of the other Digimon story games we got were just in Japanese, and now we have a full-fledged English voice acted cast. And for the most part, a lot of the delivery is well done. I'm genuinely impressed. My biggest gripe though is that the MC is not voice acted. It's a huge letdown, since if you pick the male option, the female MC will be speaking to you throughout the game. So the opposite gender of the character you choose is fully voice acted. And they sound great, but for some reason, when you don't use them, they're voice acted, but when you do use them, they say nothing. It's just disappointing when you see other characters talking to you and then your character just moves their lips and you have absolutely no idea what they just said. Overall, the pacing of the story and the way that it's told is much better than the previous Digimon story games. I would go as far as saying that it's up there with SMT. So if you enjoyed SMT 5, then you will like Digimon Time Stranger story. I would put them around the same level. So it is a huge improvement, but this is one of those departments that I do think can be improved in the next game. Performance wise, Time Stranger runs great on my PC, and I haven't heard of any complaints from people online. Obviously, it's not the most demanding looking game in the world, but it does look good. This is definitely the best Digimon has ever looked, and I think that it's totally fine. I personally don't need it to be updated too much graphics wise. I think it's right on point. The game is also Steam Deck verified, and I would say that I probably put about half of my playtime on my Steam Deck, and it ran perfectly. It ran perfectly, yes, but for some reason, 40 hours into my playthrough, the game started crashing when I put my Steam Deck on sleep mode. I honestly don't know if it was Digimon or my Steam Deck. It could have been either or, but I know for sure that it never had any issues when playing on my desktop. The game is also constantly auto-saving, so I never lost a lot of progression or anything. The UI is also pretty polished, albeit simple. I think my only issue again is the farm and digivolving. It can feel like a lot of menu hopping sometimes when you're trying to get a very specific Digimon. So I do have one more negative with the game, and unfortunately it's the level design. Again, this is coming from a place of love. The game's locations look awesome. I love how everything looks. Other than the Factorio area, that's the only one I didn't really like that much. Other than that, everything's beautiful and much better than what we got in Cyber Sleuth. However, the level designs are pretty simple. They're pretty much just going down a hallway. Not the biggest deal for me because, as you could tell, I really love the combat of the game, but I do think there is room to expand the level design in the future. I would say the current level design is akin to how the older Persona dungeons looked. Another minor issue I have is that there is a lot of backtracking in the game. And I know it's for the story, but it still kind of sucks when you're in an area that you've already crossed through once and not a lot has changed. Obviously, I would have preferred more levels instead of backtracking the ones that we've already done. But again, this is something that we can hopefully fix in a future game. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, do you get your money's worth in Digimon Time Stranger? And in my opinion, this is one of those games that I would consistently buy day one because I want to help the developers. I think this game is well worth your money. Not only is it a long game, but I do think there is a lot of value in a second playthrough, especially because in a second playthrough, you know how all the mechanics work. You can be more strategic on how you want to use your agent points, what stats you want to focus on a Digimon. Obviously, if you want to wait for the game to go on sale, that's totally fine. I just encourage that you buy this game on Steam or PSN or whatever console you're on, and not on one of those like couponed websites, because I would like if these devs can actually make a nice profit from this game. I think they cooked, and the best part is I do think they can still do better. I'm so happy that we got this game, and I'm super excited for the future of Digimon. All right, that's the review. It's done, and I think it's only fair if I give this game some sort of like numbered review. And if I were to have to pick a number, I would say that Digimon Time Stranger is an 8.5 out of 10. Would 100% recommend if you are a JRPG fan, or if you're a Digimon fan. It is a no-brainer. But I am giving it that score because I do think that there is a lot of room for growth here. I think it's great. I think the formula is really good. But with just those minor improvements, I think we have something that can compete against really big JRPGs like Persona or Final Fantasy. I think we're onto something here, and I just really want to see the devs keep cooking, and hopefully they get the budget they need to make a really great game. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It really, really does help out. Other than that, I hope I see you again, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.